Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be another movie review for you guys. Now, I know you guys are asking how I watched this movie. This movie was released online because it's actually been released, I believe, in the UK before it was released in the US. And this is coming out this Friday, so if you guys don't want to hear, I'm not going to give you guys spoilers because it does come out Friday, and plus I don't really want to, so just so you guys know, there won't be any spoilers, so you can watch this review, because there won't be any spoilers. So, the movie I'm going to be reviewing is Minions. Now, Minions was a film I was definitely very much looking forward to, and I'll tell you guys why. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Despicable Me movies. I have both of them on Blu-ray. I think they're both really entertaining family films that are not just for kids, but also for adults. There's some really great adult humor in this movie, and a lot of that comes from the Minions. I mean, they have some really good crude humor that I don't think kids would really understand, and it's not like crude like a bunch of like fart jokes or things like that. It's actual very smart, intelligent humor. And that's one of the reasons why I love these movies as much as I do. I mean, they're really cute too. Like, you love the little girls and you love Gru, of course, but one of the reasons the movies are so good is because of the Minions. So, in Despicable Me 2, when they started to do a lot more of the Minions, I mean, I was really looking forward to seeing this Minions movie. Really, I did. I mean, the trailers looked really good. It didn't really disappoint me. And it looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. I mean, you guys can watch my trailer reaction. I said this looked like it's going to have a lot of dark humor. And after watching Minions, was it everything I wanted to be? Not really. Minions was kind of disappointing. I didn't hate this movie. I really didn't. For the most part, liked it. I wanted to like it a lot more, but I just didn't. And there are quite a few reasons why I didn't like this movie as much as I did. Let's first get to the plot of Minions, which that's one of the reasons I want to check out the movie, because the plot's actually really cool. I really do like it. Basically, Minions are these small creatures who have existed since the beginning of time, evolving from just the dinosaur age, and some of their masters have included a T-Rex, a caveman, Egyptian pharaoh, Dracula, and even Napoleon. And after basically destroying all their masters, which is pretty funny, they end up isolating themselves from the world and start this new life in the Arctic, and they start to get really depressed, and minions start to go extinct, actually. You know, they're kind of worried the minions are going to go extinct, and the lack of a master drives him into depression, basically. So, but however, there's one minion, Kevin, who is willing to set out and find a new master, and two minions, Stuart and Bob, tag along, and they basically go to find themselves a new master. And basically, that's what the movie is. It's them going to find a new master while the rest of the minions survive in the Arctic, you know, waiting for them to return. And that's basically a plot of Minions. And there's a lot more going on in this movie, but I don't really want to say anything else because the movie, it's like, this is a movie that just could have been a lot better than it was, and I'll talk about why. Um, First of all, the acting here, really good for the most part, but not really. Pierre Coffin as the Minions is really good. The thing, though, with the Minions, though, in this movie, is that the reason they work so well in this movie, on these movies, are because they're supporting characters. They are. They're not major characters. They're supporting characters who have some really funny scene-stealing scenes, but that does not mean you needed to give them their own movie. I understand they're really popular and things like that. It just doesn't work. Honestly, you don't care about them. Honestly, I never cared about their characters. Okay, maybe they're cute and adorable to look at, but I didn't really care about their characters, and the movie lacked a lot of the heart, and I thought Pierre Coffin did a good job overall. I mean, he didn't have that hard of a job. All he has to do is just talk nonsense, like, he just has to say that the whole movie, and, I think he did a good job, but for the most part, I was pretty disappointed. I didn't really feel like they all had really good personalities. I didn't really care about their characters, and they just weren't that interesting to me. They really weren't. Sandra Bullock as Scarlet Overkill, they build her up to be this huge character. Nothing of interest to do in this movie. She is there to she's there to replace Gru. Really, she is. And you know what's missing in this movie? Gru and the little girls. That's what's missing in this movie. Sandra Bullock just doesn't work as Scarlet Overkill, and John Hamm, I mean, they're doing their best. They're trying in the movie. They're definitely trying. They're just not, it doesn't work, and I understand what they were trying to do. You know, they were trying to get they were trying to get someone to replace Gru and show what happened, like, their origin story and things like that before they met Gru, which this movie is before they met Gru, so I understood they were trying to show that, but it just didn't work. I didn't find their characters that interesting. They weren't that funny to me. And after a while, the movie started to get a bit boring because we focused so much on their characters and we don't actually focus enough on the minions. Honestly, I feel like we should have. There's a great portion of the movie that's just minions messing around. I kind of would have wanted to see that the whole movie and just stay in this Arctic zone and see how many minions can survive. That could have been interesting to see how that worked out. Michael Keaton and Allison Janney play these two robbers that they encounter. They weren't that good either. I didn't really find them funny, and I didn't really think they were that good. Steve Coogan I didn't think was that good. The narration in this movie was so annoying. Like, I don't need this movie explained to me. I can clearly tell what's going on. It was kind of annoying the way they did that with Jeffrey Rush. But yeah, everyone in this movie is just not really that good, and that's because we don't need all this human interaction. Really, we don't. I mean, these two movies, yeah, the minions had interactions with Gru and like the little girls, but most of the time, the funniest scenes with the minions were just them being minions. And like one of the funniest scenes in Despicable Me is that scene where they go to that store and start like messing with the TV. I love that scene. It's hilarious. They try to like recreate scenes in this, and it really doesn't work. The directing by Pierre Coffin, who also does the minions, I think he did a good job for the most part. He just didn't really know what he wanted to do. The directing, I thought, was pretty much all over the place. And there's just a lot of problems with the directing. The directing's not really the problem. My biggest problem with this movie is the screenplay. The screenplay was not very good. I think the screenplay could have been a lot better, and it really wasn't. First of all, the story is great to this movie. I love the story. This origin story of seeing the minions, I mean, that could have been really good. And here's the thing, going into this movie, I thought, okay, this is going to have dark humor for adults and really funny slapstick humor for kids. More of the latter rather than what I thought it was going to have. There's barely any humor that I really laughed at. I mean, I chuckled a few times. The funniest scene involves just them randomly bursting out into a Broadway musical number, which was hilarious, just like they did in the second movie, which is one of the funniest scenes in the movie you haven't seen. It's like the end of the movie. It's hilarious. Me personally, though, what they did with the screenplay just didn't work for me because they tried to make it funny. It just wasn't funny. It wasn't. It wasn't that funny, it wasn't that memorable either, and it was pretty much all over the place, really, it was. I mean, once we get to Scarlet Overkill, they, like, build her up as, like, this big villain, and it didn't work whatsoever. I didn't really find it funny. This is a movie that is very different than Despicable Me movies because they're gonna appeal more to kids than they will to adults, and that's fine, but when I say kids, I mean really little kids. If you're elementary school, like your second, third, or fourth grader wants to see this movie, they're probably not going to like it because the movie's not even smart humor. It's a bunch of slapstick humor, and after a while, like, for the first few minutes was kind of cute, but then I'm like, alright, I get it. Can you please do something else? Also, the movie has no heart to it at all, honestly. There's no heart to this movie. It's just downright just joke after joke after joke. There's no heart. And again, it's really missing Gru. Gru is what held the first two movies together. That bond between Gru, the minions, and the little girls, that's what made the first two movies so good. And I feel like Despicable Me 3, which is happening, is going to fix that. But the minions on their own, it just doesn't really work with the writing. The animation looks great, definitely. I mean, this animation is just... They know what they're doing, definitely. I mean, it's Illumination Entertainment. They know what they're doing. It's beautiful animation as usual. The score I really like, but here's the thing. The only reason I feel they have this 60s music and put the setting in the 60s is, one, so, you know, it could be before they met Gru, but also because of the fact that they wanted something for adults. They figured, alright, let's just put this music in there so the parents have some reason to enjoy the movie. And I'm going to say this right now, if you're a parent, that is the only thing you're going to enjoy in this movie, is listening to this 60s music. It's great music. I didn't really feel like it belonged in this movie, but it was really good music. I mean, The Who's in there, The Doors are in there, The Beatles, I think, are in there. I mean, there's some really good music in there, but for me personally, it was just like, alright, let's just get through another song. I mean, that's what I enjoyed watching. Also, there's no tension really in this movie. You know how Despicable Me had actually really thrilling action scenes? I will admit, their action scenes are actually very good in this movie. There are scenes where they're actually pretty thrilling, and they're pretty on the edge of your seat. You don't know what's going to happen. This movie, there's none of that. There's really none of that. It's not that interesting. You know what's going to happen once the movie... You know what's going to happen in the action scenes, and it really just doesn't work. Honestly, it didn't work for me. Another problem I have with this movie was the ending. I thought this movie was way too short. I really did. I feel like they could have made this movie a little bit longer. And yeah, these first two movies, they're not that long, but that's because they didn't have that much of a story to tell. This had a very complex story. I mean, this story, it's not simple. It's really not. I mean, what they're trying to tell, it's not a simple story, and I feel like they definitely could have spent more time on it and less time on these gags that are funny, but they really took away from my loving of the movie. Um, so that was kind of disappointment as well. Also, the ending in the movie, I was expecting to like really like the movie, but then the ending came out and I heard the ending is really good to this movie. I personally didn't like it, guys. I really didn't like the way they handled it. I feel like it was way too rushed, just out of nowhere. It's like, oh yeah, we got it. To me, it just seemed like they wanted to tie in the first two movies, so they had that ending. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but let's just say that something that from the first two movies, they try to tie it in, and it really didn't work for me. Honestly, I didn't think it worked at all. This seemed like a completely different movie than the first two movies, and it just really ended up not working. It could have worked better, maybe if they had a better story or a better budget, but it really didn't work for me at all, honestly. And the way it ended, I was like, that's it? Really? That's how you end the movie? I will admit the post-credits were hilarious. I really liked seeing the post-credit scene. But all this really made me do is really want to see Despicable Me 3. I want to see Despicable Me 3 because it has the characters that we love, it has what made this franchise good, and this kind of took it to a step down below. And this movie's not bad, it's just not really what I want it to be. It's nothing I'd ever watch again. It's enjoyable, but here's the thing. After seeing such great anime movies like the emotion of Inside Out, that impact that it had on you, and the hilariousness of the SpongeBob movie, this was really disappointing. It could have been a lot better, and it was kind of, I was kind of disappointed by how lackluster it was. Unfortunately, I have to give Minions a 3 out of 5 or a C+. I really wanted to like this movie, but I didn't, and I did enjoy some things about it. Some jokes do work, but most of them really don't work, and most of them I think kids are going to find funny. Parents, this is a movie where get the kids the DVD, have them watch it, parents stay at home. That really, it comes down to one of those. I know you guys are like, why are you ripping this movie to shreds? You're a teenager, you know what you're saying. I can have fun with movies, I really can. I mean, if I can enjoy these first two movies, I clearly can have fun with movies. It's just, I couldn't have fun with this movie because it lost the essence of what made the first two so good, and unfortunately, that's why the movie just wasn't as good in my opinion. But that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. You have seen it. Sorry if you don't want to see it now. I mean, I saved you a couple bucks, I guess. I don't really recommend you guys seeing this. I really don't. Just so you guys know, it's definitely not as good as it could have been. If you want to see really good Minions having, really funny Minions, watch these two movies. They're hilarious in these movies, honestly. There's stuff they do with them in these movies are great. This is just kind of taking it a step down, really. It doesn't really work as their own movie when they're there the whole movie. But that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for another classic movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.